swooping, apparate, and let your phantom clamours resonate. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Christopher Judge.
Hello, Grant.
Hello, Grant. So, Christopher, I know it's not your first time in Belgium. You've been to our show twice before.
Yes.
A long time ago.
How long ago was that?
God, we were as beautiful, but a little bit younger than we are today. But I think you came over in 2003 and 2009, something like that.
Wow.
A long time ago.
Who would have thought I'd still be alive?
Yes. Is there, now, since you're used to Belgium, is there anything that strikes you as being peculiar about Belgium or about Belgians?
Peculiar.
Specific, or like, this is typical Belgian? Usually people answer with rude things.
This is waffle. Oh, one of those. Yeah.
Waffles is the most common given answer.
And I know.
Now, in the UK, there's a drinking game, and that's called Name 3 Famous Belgians. Can you name 3 famous Belgians?
Hold on. No.
I'll ask you the same question.
Wait. Shoot. No. Well, so you tell me.
Well, the usual names that come up are Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh. Of course.
You can swear, don't worry. If you are a football fan, soccer fan, there's lots of famous Belgian players, Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, and stuff like that. There were some famous female tennis players who were #1 in the world like 15 years ago. Otherwise, if you're a comic fan, Hergé, who created Tintin, that was made into a movie. And if you're a music fan, the saxophone was actually invented by a Belgian, Adolf Sax. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
So, I'm a product of the American public school system. So.
Yeah, and it would be a little bit too easy to ask you 3 famous Americans, but who would be for you the 3 most famous Americans?
The most famous at any time?
Yeah, anytime.
Muhammad Ali, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan.
Right, sports fan, I see. Now, strangely enough, you didn't quote any actors, but you are an actor, obviously. So, could you tell us an unexpected perk of being an actor?
Why can't I say that?
Yes, you can.
Well, when I was younger. You know, it's weird because I've basically become a shut-in. So, I really don't know what to do. I golf. That's it. I golf with my family. It did get me out of the ticket though, 2 days ago, because I got stopped because the tint on my windows was too dark. I'm not sure how I knew that because my windows were down. But anyway, so this young police officer pulls me over and he says, "You don't want to stop you?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, your tint on your window is very dark." And he said, and he stopped and he looked at me and went, "Criminals?" And I said, Yes, boy.
Oh, brilliant. That would be a perk.
That was a problem.
Now, you've been acting for 20 odd years, 30 odd years?
Yeah.
A long time.
I mean, truly, 40 years.
Wow.
40 years, yeah.
So you started when you were 2 or 3 or so?
I started in the womb.
Yeah.
That was my first picture in the womb.
What has changed most about acting in those 40 odd years?
The craft itself hasn't changed, but the business of it has changed considerably. And, I'm sure everyone knows, we went on strike not too long ago. There's probably going to be another strike coming up, and the business side of it has changed so much. But even how you get jobs now has changed a lot. It used to be when you were a young actor, casting directors had these things called generals. So you would go in for a general meeting as a new actor, and you would get to meet casting directors. Now all that's gone. Even auditions now are mostly tapes. So it bewilders me, like how you can get a feel for something through a tape. So that whole part of it, and like discovering new talent, it's kind of a lost art now. Because now the only tapes they look at are people who are already somewhat known. So I think the business has really taken a step backwards when it comes to discovering new talent.
Now, being on set can be exciting but also exhausting. So after a long day on set, what is your go-to ritual to wind down?
It's weird. When I was a teen, I was younger, so I would drink to wind down. Sometimes I'd drink to wind up. But I quit drinking over 10 years ago. So it was weird with Kratos. I never really wound down because it was so intense emotionally. I kind of just wore it like the whole time. There was no winding down. It was literally go to my hotel and kind of just sit there with it and be ready for the next day. So it was a completely different process for the person.
Yeah, and since he is an angry character, I can imagine.
Well, he's not really angry. He's just misunderstood.
Now, there's a famous interview with Tom Hanks on the Graham Norton show, where he talks about voicing Woody, and that he has to make so many noises of falling down the stairs that at the end of the day his diaphragm hurts. Did you have that with Kratos as well?
Well, to me, that's the hardest part of it. Because you're just in a booth, and they'll say, now give an effort. Well, what kind of effort? Like you're getting up. Okay, now make an effort like you just landed from a jump. Well, from how high? How far? So it's literally the toughest part of it because you're there by yourself trying to, a lot of times it's not, well, even when it is the picture, it's called chasing the action. So they'll play a scene that you've already shot on the stage, but then you have to give all the efforts and grunts and stuff like that, and you feel really dumb because you're sitting there in the booth by yourself and you're watching yourself on the screen and you're trying to literally chase the action. So if Kratos is running, you're standing there by yourself and then he'll swing the axe and then he'll take a hit and you realize you're just kind of standing there with other people, the producers, writers on the other side of the booth just watching you. Sometimes you feel really dumb. it's just a weird way to measure it, you know?
And do they go like, more passion, more pain?
Well, yeah, they'll go, okay, now we went from higher. That hurt more damage, more effort, more. So you end up like just that takes about a year, just that.
Wow.
Yeah.
A whole year for one game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, because there's 40 to 60 hours that you have to do every single breath or every single exertion. So yeah, it takes, and then constantly, season constantly being taken with change slightly. So every minute change, you then have to go back and redo it.
If you had to choose, would you rather choose regular acting or voice acting?
Well, see, to me, creators is not a voice job because everything you see, we shot on stage with all the actors wearing mocap suits and that. So I believe there's 100 cameras above me. There's a camera that followed me in particular. There's 4 cameras on the stage, and then there's a camera that's attached to your helmet that's right in your face. So it's all like to me it's the same technique, but game acting is much more physically demanding because when you shoot film and television, there's the physical act of having to move lights around, having to wire it, having to do all this. So a lot of times you have an hour break between every setup. And that's not an hour break between scenes. Sometimes you have an hour break, so they shoot a wide shot called a master where you see everything, just a big wide shot. But then they go in for close-ups and 2 shots and overs. And a lot of the times, setups can take an hour or more. So it's not really that physically demanding when you're resting out of a 16-hour day. You probably actually only shoot maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. With gaming, there is no setup. That's all in either before or in post. So you just move right into the next thing. There's almost no, a long setup in gaming is 15 minutes. So that was kind of the hardest thing for me to get used to, was how much more physically demanding it is.
Wow. If you hadn't become an actor, what would you have loved to become?
A golfer.
A golfer?
I would have loved to. In my mind, and then I'm 60, now I have a chance, my second career, is to play on the Super Seniors Tour. Of course, it's a dream. I'll never be good enough to do that. But in my mind, I have to think if I had started young, I could have been a golfer.
You still can. Don't worry. And you're not 60. You don't look 60 at all.
Well, here's a good question. I often ask myself that. But I knew that I wanted to be an actor at such a young age. It never really occurred to me to be anything else.
We're all very happy that you became an actor. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's your time to shine. It's a unique opportunity to ask questions to Christopher. He doesn't bite, so don't be shy. There's 2 microphones, one on the left, one on the right. Don't be scared. Yes, thank you. There's a few ground rules. Questions in English only. Maximum 2 questions per person. Please articulate in the microphone. Don't ask for free hugs, free kisses, free whatever. Just ask regular, well, maybe whatever. Yes, well, that's the midnight question. So, take it away.
Christopher, thanks, really thanks. And you know James Earl Jones, no?
Yes.
Okay. And James Earl Jones was a voice for Mufasa and Darth Vader too. And I think you are the new James Earl Jones for generation, because you were Magneto from X-Men Evolution, you are seeing Stargate, now you are Kratos, and you feel the same, maybe? I know, it's, yeah, I know, it's James Earl Jones, but I think you are next James Earl Jones.
Well, thank you. I'm flattered. You know, Mr. Jones has such I had the great fortune of working with Mr. Jones early in my career. He did a show called Gabriel's Fire, and it was one of like my early roles, and I really didn't know what I was doing. So I got a call, knocked on my door, one of the ADs at lunchtime, and said, Mr. Jones would like you to have lunch. For me? James Earl Jones? And okay, but now I'm terrified because I think I'm about to get fired. And
you need only one? No, one more. You are the new James Earl Jones.
well,
Yeah.
maybe so because of Mr. Jones, and he gave me maybe the most valuable kind of advice that I've gotten. He said, don't ever move unless you have to. Unless things become so overwhelming for you as a character that you have to move. And I took that advice to heart, and I really think that's how I initially got to deal with it. So, you know, I thank you for that, but Mr. Jones will always be Mr. Jones.
Is his voice as deep in reality?
He doesn't, no, he doesn't, he's actually very soft spoken. Yeah, which was, I was so surprised.
It's not in the Mickey Mouse, but
No, not that, yeah. But no, he's very quiet. Yes, but also very good natured, very good humor. Yeah, just a wonderful.
wow. Take it away.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I wanted to know how you got the part of playing Tink in Stargate.
It just a straight audition. One of my best friends, his roommate was an actor. And so there was just a script laying on the dining room table. So I was just kind of looking at it and I see this part. And I'm like, wait a minute, how come I don't have an audition for this? So I called my agent and I said, get me an audition for this or you're fired. And like 2 days later, I had an audition. And so kind of just things went, you know, the one thing I had really long hair, and because we didn't hear anything back from it for like 2 weeks, I had cut my hair. And when you know, the next day, get the call to a screen test. So I thought I'd blown it because, you know, I don't do this anymore. So luckily, they said, well, just come in and everything worked out. And then, but my hair was short, but not long. So with all the makeup and stuff, because originally Tim had these long earlobes, and then he had a thing called, what's that called?
Goatee?
Pastiche. Who said that? Who said pastiche?
I said goatee, but that's
Well,
not.
that's not pastiche, then, is it? Oh, I was just going to say it. Take a look at the freakish. So what they realized, and then originally the tattoo was like this kind of whole forehead point. So and originally my makeup took about 3 hours. So what they realized is they would have to do this for every Jafar. So they started scaling back the makeup, and it still didn't look right. And I'll never forget Jonathan Glasner, one of our career producers, said, hey, have you ever been bald? I said, nope. And he said, well, would you consider it? I said, well, for the right price. So they negotiated and we reached an agreement. And I remember asking Jonathan, I said, so like how long? Well, he said 3 episodes. 3 episodes, and you'll start growing your hair. 7 years later, that's brilliant. Yeah. So they made a pretty good deal. I was negotiating for 3 episodes. They negotiated for 7 years.
And I also wanted to know how was it behind the stage with the rest of the cast, Amanda Tapping and the others?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, it was 10 years of laughter, you know. It was all set by Rick and Rich Anderson in my green room. You know, from the first day, they said, we'll do this as long as it's fun. And it never stopped being fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, so I had a question about last Game Awards. You made a joke about Call of Duty, which I found hilarious. I was wondering, because you joked about another company I won't work for. So did you actually get in trouble? And my follow-up question to that would be, what company would you like to work for in video games?
No, I didn't get into trouble. You know, what can they do? Hire me more. Okay, here, I'm going to be 1,000% transparent. So, I read the joke, and so I went around asking, you know, hey, is anybody going to be offended by this? No, everyone knows it, everyone thinks about it, it's no secret. So, as I said, I'm 60. So when I read the Call of Duty campaign, I thought advertising campaign. Because my kids play, but I had completely forgotten that their missions are called campaigns. So I kind of went into it just going, oh, I'm going to get a laugh at this company's expense. Never mean to offend or hurt the feelings of any developers, because that's the last thing I would do, because I know how much work and how much of that heart and soul goes into everything that they do. So I never ever meant it against the developers, because oftentimes what gets greenlit in the beginning doesn't make it all the way through to the end. So, you know, I have the greatest respect, not only for our developers, but for all developers, because I know how much of the heart and soul they put into it. So, you know, just for on the record, it's like them, you know, I'm a huge fan of it. It certainly wasn't meant to insult to them, but that shit was funny. Yeah, so I was a bit surprised when there was, you know, most of it was, you know, taken as just some good humor. I mean, God knows I don't fun at myself enough. I really participate in any jokes about me, as long as they're funny. So, you know, I was a bit surprised by how it was taken, but I mean, it certainly wasn't meant with any malice at all.
All right. And so, a company that you would like to work for in the game industry?
I don't know if it's a company. You know, I've been thinking about it. It would have to be something really extraordinary for me to even consider doing it, because like after your Kratos, where do you go from that? You know what I mean? So just off the top of my head, I don't know. I think honestly, it really, I just don't. It would have to be something extraordinary, you know.
Another God of War, maybe?
What?
All right, thank you.
One question per person, right? So actually my question was, what scene scared with you the most of all of them?
probably when Kratos sees the triptych at the end of Ragnarok and he's like accepted and loved, because 2018 was about me and my kids. You know, it was about, as I've said many times, it was a love letter to my kids, and I kind of wanted them to know that all the time I was working and stuff when they were young, and all the stuff I missed, it wasn't because I didn't love them. Ragnarok was my personal journey. So it was a lot more difficult to get through. And like so many others, you know, one of the things that I fought with my entire life was the idea of someone loving me, or that I was worthy of being loved, or that I even had it in me to fully love someone else. So that to me was, I try not to rehearse the bigger scenes, and so whenever the more emotional scenes are rehearsed. So I want whatever comes up to be honest, and to be what it really is. And I was just so, literally, I was just in a fetal position for 30 minutes. And, you know, I love Greg. He came, arms around me, I was still shaking. And he said, he said, look, now can you do one that we can actually use in the game? So that was kind of our relationship. And I understood, you know, but just, you know, talking about how do you kind of decompress. For Ragnarok, there really wasn't a lot of decompression nights, you know.
I'll start with saying Techmate Master Deal. I've only gotten to Stargate last year, but it pretty much...
Where have you been?
Wow, not dating my boyfriend, who is a great Stargate fan, and now I am, so it's
I can take a bad turn there. Okay.
This show is, to me, so incredible because of how old it is and how many messages from pretty much timeless messages that it still carries. And my biggest question would be to you, like, is there something that you specifically took away from that show as a person? Like something that really stayed with you, aside from, of course, all the laughs?
You know, I got the great opportunity to play a character that looked at the world with no preconceived notions as to what it would be. So it kind of gave me an insight into what the world could be and what human nature really is. You know, so what it left me with was something my mom always told me, one of the greatest things she ever gave me, was that everyone deserves respect. Everyone is smarter than you in something, is funnier than you, and if you don't find out what their gift is, because everyone has a gift, and the Lord said, if you don't find out what their gift is, that's on you. And so now when I talk to people, when I say, how you doing, I really mean, how are you doing? Like, it's not just a reading, it's really an income, you know, and I really try to make a connection with people that I meet, not just take it for granted. You know, so I really think that's one of the things that we
Very beautiful, thank you. And to add to the last person, I think your voice would really fit in Cyberpunk franchise for some reason.
Hello, Mr. Coach. Hi. I have a question about how much of that role was predetermined for you, and how much input did you have yourself in this work?
Well, I don't think anything was predetermined. Because at the screen test, there were 3 Daniel Jacksons, 3 Carters, 3 General Hands, but there were 10 tilts. There were white tilts, there were Hispanic tilts, there were Asian tilts, and 2 black tilts. And so I really don't think they had really fleshed out what, not to say they didn't think about it, But I think that role was kind of just open to interpretation. They didn't have a lot of preconceived notions about who or what he should be. I mean, it's just kind of like, what's an alien? You know, so it was really kind of left up to me, like even the pronunciation of words, they would just throw a bunch of consonants together. And I remember growing up, because the original name of the set was literally like 22 letters. So I went up to the office and I said, how do you pronounce that? We don't know, you're the alien. So that's kind of how it was. And so everyone that came on, that played Jafar or Abu, you know, I would kind of give them a crash course on pronunciation. So I had, you know, a great deal of it. It was fantastic. I had a great deal of input to it. You know, and then when I originally went to them, I said, I don't think you should talk so much. And they were like, what? Like, no African woman has ever said that. But I said, no, it gives him some mystery. It gives him, and so then if he hardly ever talks, then that means whenever he says something, it's important. You know, and so thankfully they went along with that too.
Great. Thank you so much for that, George.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hi.
My question was for you. I played 2 God of War games from 2018 and Ragnarok. I was wondering, did you play the 2 games?
No. See, with my, I not only have no manual dexterity left, I also can't see. So I got tired of my kids long ago making fun of me, but I did watch my youngest son play for 7 days straight. And yeah, because you don't really, when you're shooting, you don't know what you shot. Oh, you know that, yes, you know what you shot, but you have no idea what it's gonna look like. You know, so for me, it was like, this is what we did. Like, you know, so I was just as amazed as, and my kids are very hard on me. They went to a school with a lot of famous actors' kids. So, you know, I've never really been a big deal to them. But my son Cameron, who's probably the hardest one, in Oklahoma, says, Daddy, this is the greatest game I've ever played. And of course I just broke down like an idiot. But yeah, I mean, that was my first kind of, because I mean, I didn't really go on the internet. I didn't really, so with TC Carson, so good. And he was so fantastic. So when I was first announced, you know how the gaming community is, you know, there's a mixture of some excitement and then some headlines. So it never really, I knew that God was a good franchise. I had no idea how beloved Kratos is until the reveal at E3. And to this day, that's probably still the greatest moment of professional career, was that reveal. And seeing how much joy and happiness it brought to people to have Kratos back.
Thank you.
Christopher, we're slightly running out of time, so I will have to ask you to...
I'm not going to lunch, so...
Yeah, there's others Q&A. So I'll just have to ask you to answer a little bit... I'm sorry to do this, but...
Because that's what I'm known for, is talking fast.
Go ahead.
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah. Hey. Okay. What is your favorite line to say whenever with Kratos in God of War?
Favorite line? Oh, it's always boy. I saw a compilation of every time I said boy in the first game, and wow, I didn't know I said that much, but boy, it was not
Thank you. Hello. I have 2 other questions. The first one is about, did you feel a difference between playing Tilt, the baddest Tilt in SG1
and the more peaceful Tilk in Atlantis? And the second question is, do you see more often in your daily life?
I don't know if Tilk wasn't, he was just, when Tilk went to Atlantis, he was just wiser. I don't know if he was any less, he was still pretty badass, you know? But he was trying to teach Roman a lesson, not really beat him. But yeah, I mean, that's still, I didn't like to really rehearse it. I just didn't like rehearsing fight scenes so much, but when Bam Bam or Stark Quartet showed me, because they would have all the stuff people act out the fights and they didn't learn. When I saw what he had planned, maybe I should really rehearse this one. So we had, 2 weeks of fight rehearsal before we did the show. So it was so much fun. It was, Momoa is such a great kid. I mean, and thank God, he seems to be doing okay with his career, so I'm glad for him. And what was that?
If you see more often indeed.
Indeed?
Yeah.
I actively don't say indeed anymore. I literally don't say indeed anymore. And it was just because it would sound weird to me saying and not that being Tilk, so yeah, I almost never say it. Indeed.
I know that also in stargate we have also some screenwriting from some episodes. How that came about? Because I know Amanda also directed, Michael Shanks also. Okay, how that came about?
It came about because in the early days, we had 2 writers that would write Jafar stories. Then one of them left, and then Peter Delarose was the other writer who wrote a lot of Jafar stories. Well, once Peter started directing more, he had less time to write. So if you look at seasons 3 and 4 especially, Tilk wasn't very heavy, so I wouldn't talk to Rags. Unfortunately, Jafar episodes are very touching. They always go over budget, so no one wants to really write them. So he said, if you want a story like this, you have to write it. So that's literally how I started writing, out of necessity. And I still thank Brad for giving me that opportunity today. Still writing. So yeah, it was literally out of necessity.
Thank you. We really only have time for 2 more questions. I'm so sorry. So the last but one question.
Hi. I have a question. As Tilk, you always have to be emotionless or don't show any reaction. Did you ever have during filming that you couldn't hold your laughter while you have to be very still?
Oh, all the time. Especially one episode when Dom DeLuise was on, and he just had it out for him. He was just, so if you watch that episode, I think it's called 10 minutes. With the episode with Dom DeLuise, I'm almost not in it because I couldn't keep a straight face. Like I literally laughed every take. So I'm almost not in it.
And one last thing, I know you said it, but could you just say for myself again, indeed, please?
Indeed.
All right, final question. Make it count. No pressure.
Big God of War, like huge. But my question is, I played God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok, but you guys did the impossible and released the DLC for free, which awesome. So my question is, in the DLC, you have DC cars and your world together. How did you experience that? Like, that's a lot of responsibility, I think, to have that.
A lot of it was, I didn't make it about kind of more personal, and I made it, you'll attest to this, I'm a lot different than I used to be. And so I kind of use that in the scenes with young creators. It was literally me talking to myself. They say the most interesting scenes with an actor is when they talk into a mirror, because what does an actor see when he looks at himself in the mirror? So that's kind of what I used. I saw, this young guy who was very impetuous, very reckless. But I always had being a better person inside of me. It was always there. And so the ability to forgive my younger self was something that I had to do personally. And so thank God it kind of all worked for the character. But yeah, I always tried to work from inside out rather than outside.
Thank you very much.
Now, Christopher, as a moderator, I'm supposed to be professional, but for once, I'll let a fanboy win. Just to wrap this Q&A up, can you give us the most profound, the deepest boy you've ever given?